Intro music.
Overview narration.
Doctor!
My name is James.
My name is Joey.
And this is the Brothers Padre. And this recap week...
This is not our saddest recap.
Not the saddest recap week. I know, I beg to differ. We've had this record before in a week. This matches our worst week's record game. This matches our worst record for a week the Padres have had this year already. 2-4. But this one, it ended on a very sad note, and it just stinks because there were a lot of spectacular highs in this series. Even the games we lost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like... I'm going to use a different sport analogy because...
And we know in our podcast that always goes super well, so I'm very excited about it.
Yes, okay.
Very excited about it.
So when Joey and I were younger,
Okay.
we were a part of a junior golf league.
Okay, that's true.
I remember one time I hit a hole-in-one.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
So I'm going to tell the audience how big the golf course was?
I mean, it was a par 2.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Irrelevant.
I mean, don't undermine my athleticism.
Okay.
It was a par 2. I got a hole-in-one. But at the end of the course, I was third to last out of 10 people.
The back nine kill you in that course. Or in this case, the back three, because it was a 9-hole course.
It was a 9-hole course. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I guess that's what this. It felt like there was peak Padres.
Yeah.
Obviously, the wheels started coming off, and that's because of the road trip. It's because of everything happening, and Chicago is one of the hottest teams in baseball. We ran into a super hot team,
A very hot offense. Yeah.
very hot offense.
Well,
And anyways, so
yeah.
let's
jump into it, James, shall we?
If we must. That is what we have committed to ourselves to do. Live through the trauma.
Last week, you and I both said, you said it would be 4-2, and I said it'd be 5-1. And you've already spoiled it. We're 2-4.
Technically, my numbers were correct. Just reversed.
James, let's jump into it. We are recapping the games from Friday to Wednesday, the 3 games versus the Houston Astros.
Yeah, started May 28th until today.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're welcomed into H-Town, James. The Houston Astros welcome us in. We travel down to the Juice Box, otherwise known as Minute Maid Park. And then we say on the first day, we're the best in the West. Thank you very much. The Padres beat the Astros 10-3 on 10 runs, 11 hits, and no errors. And Houston lose on 3 runs on 7 hits on 2 errors. Started by Mr. Dinelson Lamet for the Padres and Framber Valdez for the Houston Astros. James, any thoughts about this game? What went well? What went good?
Unfortunately, this game, you have to go back the previous 2 games where we played Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
That following Wednesday, we went to extra innings. We lost. Then we went to extra innings again. We won. And this game, we went to extra innings until the 11th, and we scored 7 runs and we beat them.
This starts out the week horribly.
It starts.
We're super aggressive.
Yeah, we're very tired at this point. The last thing anyone wants to do is go into extra innings again.
Yep.
And we did, but we won in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, I mean, the game started by Nelson Lamet, 3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 1 home run. But then we had to roll out with a theme somewhat this week is we had to roll out more bullpen help. Nick Ramirez threw 2 innings, Austin Adams, Chrismet, Tim Hill, Mark Melanson, and then Emilio Pagan all through this game. That's a total of 7 pitchers that were tossed innings for the Padres this game. But this game probably has the I'm looking at the wrong notes. This is not the right notes. Hold on. I have the next day notes on this one.
So for those of you that follow along,
Oh my goodness.
you know that
Oh my goodness.
my brother Joey has been printing out all the scores for the last couple weeks. His printer ran out of ink.
Big Ink got me.
So now Big Ink got you. Can we talk about the conspiracy that is the Big Ink Company? First of all, we led to believe this is the most powerful and controlled substance in the world. There is nothing more expensive than ink. Why are we bothering with Bitcoin, Joey?
Why are we doing it?
Why are we bothering with like known things that retain value like gold?
Yep.
We should not, as a society, clearly we should get off the petrol dollar and get on the HP ink dollar, because that is the most valuable substance on the planet. It never lasts. It's phenomenal.
So now I'm looking at the right game notes.
Okay.
We were tied in the ninth
So
inning.
what you're saying is I delayed enough time for you to
Yes,
pull it.
thank
Oh,
you, thank
yay! All right.
That's production right there.
That's production value right there. Teamwork.
So, like you said, we were tied in the ninth, so we had to go to extras. Extra inning rules are awful because it just means oftentimes each team gets 1 run, and then you delay another inning. In the 11th, we had a monstrous inning, 7 runs in the 11th to score to finish the game. Some highlights: Hosmer got hit by a pitch, but then was pulled. He's fine, but it hurt a little bit. Will Myers may have stolen a grand slam away from Chad McCormick.
That was he totally stole a grand slam away.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is actually the 3rd extra inning game, and the 4th extra inning kind of day after this.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Well, that's what I said. I said we're the last thing we want after this is another extra inning game.
yep. Shall we talk about the next game, James? The one that I read the notes mistakenly for.
Yes, the one with the legendary comeback.
Yeah. Yes, that one.
Yeah. Okay.
The San Diego Padres are welcomed by the Houston Astros into Minute Maid Park on Saturday, May 29th, the year of our Lord 2021. The San Diego Padres say, we're the best in the West. Thank you very much. And we beat them 11-8 on 11 runs, 13 hits and 1 errors, and the Astros had 8 runs on 9 hits on no errors, James. And this game,
It was
up to the 7th, wasn't very fun.
no, we were behind. It was Darvish's first bad start of the year,
Yeah, that's fair.
and he gave up quite a few runs.
Knocked down for 4 earned runs and 5 runs total. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. He wasn't on point. But our offense has proven one thing: we're not. It's not over till it's over. To quote Yogi Berra, it was. I don't know how to say it. Not disappointing. You know. Every starter has a bad start.
Yep.
We dished one out to the Brewers guy last week.
Yep.
And everyone know, if you think it's not going to happen, you're wrong. It just sucks when it does happen. You have to watch it.
Yep. I mean, and he still gave us 5 innings, which is
Key.
something that a lot of starters that do badly on our team can't do.
Correct.
And so I think last episode I said I don't care if you give up 4 runs as long as you last 5 or 6 innings. Like,
Yeah, that came back to haunt you big time.
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So, anyways, James, we were down 5 runs in the 7th inning, scored 2 we're down 6 runs, 7-1 in the 7th inning, scored 2 in the 8th, and then the top of the 9th happened, James. This game had one of the best comebacks of definitely this year and probably in the recent potted memory. You want to walk through what happened, James?
It was the 9th inning. 2 out. We were down by 3 runs at this point. 2 out, 2 men on. Fernando Tatis Jr. steps to the plate.
We are known fans of this guy.
No, yeah. He's we've talked about him a few times. The most precious resource on the planet, ink, has been spilt talking about him.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Woohoo! Callback joke. Anyways, so he gets up to the plate, and the pitcher for the Houston Astros is their best reliever, whose name escapes me. Because,
Ryan Presley.
Yeah, he's an Astro. He's a cheater. I don't care.
And
Anyway,
also, important to note, the second night in a row he's been used.
correct.
He's very tired.
So, like pitchers are to do these days, Fernando Tatis, first pitch inside to try to shake him up a bit.
Right.
Tatis has to let go of his bat and step out of the way. All right, shakes it off, gets back into the into the batter's box. Next pitch, Tatis pops it up to the first baseman. Oh no, it's going to foul territory. The first baseman's got a beat on it. It's over. He's caught the ball. It's oh no, he falls. He misses the ball. What? And to quote Don Azzarello, he goes, "Oh, you don't give Tatis a second chance." To quote the Cheaters broadcast team, they go, "Oh, that's not good. You don't give Tatis a second chance." The pitcher just sort of like watch the replay. It's awesome. Just sort of like bends over, grabs his knees, takes a big deep breath. You don't give this kid a second chance. Next pitch. The ball was in the park. Then it was out of the park.
Murdered that ball.
Murdered it. To say the least, he launched into orbit. It went over
The train track.
the train tracks, which technically would have left the park, but they have big windows there
Yeah.
for air conditioning that were closed. Bounced off the windows and came back into the field, but it was out of the park. It was a phenomenal, longest home run of his career, I believe. 500 feet.
One of the longer ones, yeah. I don't know if it's 500, but it was very, very long. The win probability of that game was set to 99.9%. Astros at that point with 1-1, 2 outs, top 9. Like win probability the win probability statistic is basically in all baseball, and the percentage basically of what's the likelihood of other teams winning in those situations compared to other baseball games. And in baseball history, the Astros win 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
But we got Tatis, who's
And the best
the
stat
0.1%, baby.
So we then later on in a couple innings in the 12th, Will Myers comes up and hits a 3-run home run.
Yeah.
Almost the exact same spot he robbed a home run, a grand slam the day before.
Yep.
To like, here, let's see if you could catch this, and they didn't. They didn't because I don't like the Astros. Anyways, I can insult them more, but you know what?
Yeah.
Everyone knows. The Astros at that point, this is a contribution I made to our notes. The Astros at that point had won 527 straight home games when leading by 5 runs in the 8th inning or later. The last time they lost a game where they were above 5 runs in the 8th inning was in 1981 versus the Cardinals. And that,
Okay.
Joey, is older than both of us.
Awesome game. Awesome seeing it come back. A lot of spirit and vibes in that game. I very much appreciate it, James. Shall we move on to the next game? And the game we're going to play now is, we got to say something nice.
Gotta say
We
something.
got to say something positive about the game, because we don't.
I can say something positive about every game from here on out.
Okay. Sunday, May 30th, 2021, the San Diego Padres are welcome back to the Minute Maid Park. And the Astros beat us 7-4. 7 runs, 5 hits, no errors. And the Padres had 4 runs, 9 hits on no errors.
Much like Darvish, Snell had his worst outing of the year. The problem with to carry the two is Snell's also been inconsistent this year. Snell gave up 7 runs in the first 3 innings. And it was just painful. Because all Snell, if he would have just given up 4 runs and lasted 5 innings,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but he got knocked out in a third and a quarter, I believe, inning, and it was you could literally sense the air and the like. They cut to the bullpen and they cut to the dugout. We can't. We at this point the Padres have played 4 straight extra inning ball games. We have no relievers left.
I didn't mention this the game before this one. We used also 7 pitchers.
Yeah.
So we follow up with 4 games in a row of 7+ pitchers.
Yes, and the grand total of hours we've played baseball at this point straight was just over 23 hours.
Yikes.
In the last 4 games, our team had played 23-something hours of baseball. They were a little tired, and the bullpen was looking out like, Snell, you picked the absolute worst time to have your worst outing. And the positive thing I will say is Joe Musgrove, hero of Alpine, legend of Grossmont High. I'm ready to retire his number now, put a statue up for him.
Right.
Like, no hitter, he deserves a statue and his number retired. This outing, he selfishly says to Jace Tingler, I'll go out and I'll just pitch the rest of the game. He goes out and throws easily the top 3 best pitching performances he's thrown all year. Mm-hmm. He shuts the Astros down. They don't get another hit. They don't score another run. He hits a runner. It's the only base runner they are allowed for the next 6 innings, 5.5 innings technically. And he shuts them down. And he gives the entire bullpen a much-needed off day. And he just took it on himself. There was no glory in it. He's not going to... It helped his stats because his ERA went down, but he's not going to get a W. He missed a spot in his rotation. Joe Musgrove, I think, should be an all-star representative and should easily be considered for the Cy Young candidacy. He's not in the top 5, but right now he's in the top 10 best pitchers in the league. He can potentially be up there if he gets better stats with wins, loss records. But since he is a legend of a human being, and like I have had so much respect for East County, knowing that they've produced people like Joe Musgrove.
Yeah, first time ever.
Yeah.
Just kidding, East County.
I love East County. Don't get me wrong. Although if one more person from East County tells me that Mary's Donuts is better than Peterson's, I'm throwing down.
Get out.
I'm throwing down. All right? That is incorrect. But that's what I can say positive about this particular game. Yeah, it was. It's always good to see good people do. It was like watching a scene from a World War II movie where the guy jumps on the grenade.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
absolutely. Joe Musgrove, you're a hero and a legend, and I can't wait to be at your, retiring your number ceremony and putting a statue up for you.
I told you that last episode. If we go to the World Series, he's the World Series MVP.
Oh yeah, I know.
He's the battler. He's the one. He's the Bumgardner of our team. What's funny is we got this prediction right. We would lose the Greinke game.
We did. We both
said that. He pitched 8 innings, 6 hits, 4 strikeouts, 1 earned run. I mean that'll get it done, right? I mean he's so funky, and then Scrubs comes in and allows 3 runs in this 9th inning.
Yes,
Astros bullpen. We haven't talked about too much. Is very bad. Their bullpen is terrible.
Their bullpen was terrible. The starting pitching is phenomenal. The bullpen is terrible. And that we've seen that makes a difference when you have a strong bullpen. Unfortunately, the next series we're facing the second best bullpen in baseball, and we saw that makes all the difference. That makes all the difference.
James, on Monday, May 31st, the evil Northsiders welcomed us in. James, the evil Northsiders being, of course, Chicago Cubs.
We all get it.
The north side of Chicago. There's 2 teams. Do you understand?
We get it.
Okay, you got it?
Okay. Most people understand.
So yeah, Padres are welcomed in, and we lose 7-2. Cubs had 7 runs on 10 hits and 1 error, and the San Diego Padres have 2 runs on 6 hits upon no errors. James, started by Chris Paddock, and they had a spot start by, I always say it's Chris Stewart. Is it Cole Stewart? I think it was Cole Stewart, who pitched a great game, and Chris Paddock had a rough game. Gave up 3 home runs. We both talked about this on last week, that if the wind was blowing out, it'd be a rough time. The wind was blowing out, and we had a rough time. And the Padres did not have a good time. Cubs had a very good time.
I've talked a lot about Chris Paddock and how I want him to be more consistent, and now one of the keys for our winning. And this, having rewatched the highlights, he was attacking the Chicago Cubs. Mm-hmm. He was getting a lot of first pitch strikes. He was going right at them. The problem is he does not have a good ground ball. He is he's the worst type of person to be pitching in Chicago when the wind is blowing out, because if they pop the ball in the air, the key difference was our pitcher was throwing balls you can pop in the air, and literally you saw our outfielders just right every time, like they're chasing a kite, because it just hit the jet stream and it blew out under the home run. Their pitcher was the perfect type of person you want when the balloon is blown out. He throws a lot of sinkers and cutters.
Yep.
Paddock is a fastball changeup kind of a guy, which means the balls will go in the air more. Now, he has a phenomenal curveball. He doesn't use it that much. That's the one positive thing I'll say about this is I don't think Paddock had as bad as outing as it looks on paper. He clearly, because one of the problems he always had was he first pitch strikes. He can just never get first pitch strikes. A lot of our pitchers have that problem right now for some reason. He was getting first pitch strikes. The difference is when they made contact, it happened to float out into the outfield like it was in orbit. Like literally it hit no gravity. And then our guys were hitting ground balls. We actually made more contact than the Cubs did. It just happened to be at somebody. So that's baseball. It happens. It stinks. I do not blame Paddock for it. I am not discouraged by this performance by Paddock than other losing performances by Paddock I have seen.
So the Cubs had 6 home runs against us, 5 home runs. 2 by Patrick Wisdom. Who the heck is that guy? He destroyed us.
Yeah.
2 by Javi Baez and 1 by Chris Bryant this game. There's a Twitter account that's does weather analytics based upon travel. Oftentimes they'll post, hey, based on our trajectory, they'll say, hey, according to weather, you'll have this much carry to your ball or this much detractions, because Wrigley Field can go the other way too. You could have home runs become fly balls. According to them, one home run by Baez, 1 home run by Wisdom and Bryant would all have been in routine flyouts if it wasn't 7 to 10 feet extra bits of wind added distance to all of these home runs. So if you get rid of 3 home runs from this game, we probably still lose, but it makes me feel better, right? And I think you're right. Paddock didn't really it's just rough, right? Because it's still not 5 innings pitched. He's pitched 4.1 innings.
And that's the one thing I'll have to say. The 4th inning, he clearly was getting up in pitches. They were fouling more pitches off, and they knocked him out. But in all, I did not walk away thinking, why isn't he in AAA?
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's just the Cubs also, we talked about, super hot, just smacking the crap out of the ball, and they just that top of the lineup when it's right is devastating. Right, it's been that way for a while. Contreras, Baez, Bryant, Rizzo, any combination of those guys, and Happ can mash too. It's just you're under problems, and so yeah. Shall we move on to next game, James? We didn't talk about this actually. About this game. Oh, that's the next game, rather. I'll talk about the next game. So,
yes, please move on.
Yes, moving on to Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, James. the Chicago Baby Bears welcome us in and say, hey, we're going to win this one. So they did. Chicago Cubs win 4 runs, 9 hits, no errors. The San Diego Padres run 3 runs and 7 hits upon 1 error, James. Started by our son, Ryan Weathers. And then on the Chicago side was started by the professor, Kyle Hendricks, James. And this game was, I felt like a much more winnable game. We just didn't win.
I agree. And you want this definitely felt like the game out of the 3 we should have won.
Yes.
Weathers
yeah.
gave us 5 innings.
Yes.
Best longest outing he's had.
Yeah.
He also allowed 4 runs.
Right.
Here's a fascinating thing. That's the most runs he's allowed in his entire Major League career.
Yeah.
All in all, it was considered a decent Major League outing. It just happens to be he's such a phenomenal child. It was the best outing. It was the worst outing he had, even though anybody else would consider an okay outing.
I mean, in the 5th inning, it was 2-0 Cubs. Weathers gave up a home run in the 2nd. But in the 5th inning, the Padres come back with 2 home runs. Caratini gets a home run. Turns on
Pham got a home run, yeah.
Pham gets a 2-run bomb. And like it's just like, oh, we're going to finally take advantage of it. And the Cubs come back. Wilson Contreras hits a home run. High fastball off Weathers. And that makes it 4-3 in the 5th. And I was like, okay, this is still very winnable. But as we mentioned before, they are the 2nd best bullpen in baseball. And in the 4th inning, I believe, in the 5th inning, Tatis Jr. was pulled. He had a right oblique strain, tightness, rather. So he got pulled. So Ha-Seong Kim came in the game to play for him. And so after that, it just kind of like nothing happened. No one scored any runs. Craig
because their best bullpen, the number 1 bullpen, the number 2 bullpen were in the game. And we have a 2.30 ERA. They have a 2.60 ERA. Yeah. They just shut both offenses down.
And Craig Kimbrell came in the 9th. I was like, oh, we're going to sketchy Kimbrell. Dude, Craig Kimbrell, when he's right, he's gnarly. Dude's insane. 100-mile-an-hour like fastballs, and then he just has this floating slider that tunnels perfectly off at 86. You just look like an idiot swinging at it. Yeah, so he struck out the side in order of the 9th. Just like we had no chance. 0 chance to face him.
Exactly.
And just felt like there was so much more. And Machado barely missed this is the game he barely missed a home run? Yeah, he barely missed a home run. It bounced off the top of the fence. Incredibly unlucky. But the Padres didn't do anything with that. Like, they didn't score him. It just... They didn't do anything with it. And then, Myers gets a hit. They didn't score him. It just... There was a lot of missed opportunities in a lot of ways. But, like, just the Cubs pitching just beat us.
They did. They just beat us, plain and simple.
And you're absolutely right. They know the problems with Wrigley Field. So they're the kind of pitcher that's like... If I'm going to... I think the hardest thrower was Kimbrell.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. Is like, even if you make contact with the Kimbrell fastball, it's probably going far, but you have to make contact with it first.
Yeah, it's still 101 miles an hour. You still have to hit 101. Have you ever driven a car 101 miles an hour?
Oh, man. Tatis being injured stinks, but the staff is saying it's just precautionary. He's feeling good.
Apparently, he's going to be back in the lineup by Friday.
Man.
I kind of want him to be back in the lineup on Saturday because it seems whenever he's back in the lineup, he hits off of great pitchers. And since we're against DeGrom on Saturday, I want him to just... Is
DeGrom Saturday or Sunday? We're totally skipping ahead, but...
I believe he's Saturday.
He is Saturday.
And Musgrove, yeah.
Ugh. Rest in peace. Whatever, okay. Let's finish the score. James, what's the good thing about this game? Weathers. You talking about
Weathers. He made 5 innings. He pitched 86 pitches. The longest outing he ever had.
88 pitches, yeah.
88 pitches?
Yeah. I mean, you're off by 2. I mean, that's fine.
Oh. Uh-huh. He Weathers has the greatest pickoff move I've ever seen in the life. Okay, so at one point, Anthony Rizzo, former Padre prospect, on first base, not the fastest runner.
Yeah.
had no intention of stealing a base. He was a foot or two off the first base bag.
Right.
Sitting there talking to Haas.
First baseman talk.
First baseman talk. The first basemans all have their own like club and league, and they all know each other. They all go to each other's like kids bar mitzvahs or something like that. They all like each other. It is so funny. First baseman talk. Ryan Weathers, perfect pickoff move, throws right to Hosmer. Hosmer tags him out, and Rizzo was like, I didn't even what? I'm a big league superstar. I didn't even see that happening. So, for those of you who don't know, you know that Joey and I love Weathers because he's a legend. His father was a big league ball player for 19 years. Mm-hmm. He was a legendary relief pitcher. His father's really good friend is a pitcher named Andy Pennant. Mm-hmm. Andy Pennant is one of the more dominant pitchers from the 90s. Yeah. Also had a legendary, the third most pickoffs in history.
I think he might lead all of MLB history. And let me read it up right now.
No, I was listening to an interview. They're talking third most pickoffs in history. He has the most accurate throw over to home to third, but he doesn't.
Third all time in pickoffs.
Third all time in pickoffs, but in analytics, advanced analytics, he has the most accurate pickoff. When he does pick somebody off, he picks them off. There is no oopsies. So Ryan Weathers asks his dad's friend, another lefty superstar, to show him how to pick people off, and so Ryan Weathers has been doing Andy Penn's pickoff move since he was 11. This kid is as special as Tatis Jr. as far as lore and just baseball knowledge from his dad. It's incredible.
Also had 2 hits this game.
He had 2 hits. Yeah, he had 2 hits.
On each side of the field. One to the right field, one to the left field.
He made Joey and I, who have looked into adult adoption for this kid, very proud.
We shall move on, James, to Wednesday, June 2nd. The friendly confined Cubs ask us to come into town, and we say, yeah, we'll come into town. And we lose again, James. They sweep us. They sweep us. They sweep us, those weirdos who put celery salt in their hot dogs, which is actually pretty yummy. But
yeah, it is.
6 runs the Cubs had on us versus 1 run for us. We had 5 hits, 2 errors. They had 9 hits and no errors. And this game was the saddest of them all. Saddest of all games. Not sad because I'm sure you're going to mention the good thing, which is Nelson Lamet started this game versus Azalea. I can never remember. Whatever.
Who cares?
A fine pitcher.
A fine pitcher. Yes, Lamet is definitely the positive of this episode. Longest outing of the year. He allowed a couple runs. He was pretty dominant. Our bullpen let us down this game. Lamet it looked like Key Lamet.
Right.
But in the 4th inning, everything kind of went bad.
Yeah.
And literally they cut to the bullpen, they cut to the dugout. The entire Padres organization looked like the wind had gone out of their sails. They were just all shocked. Do you want to tell what happened?
Yeah.
I was watching it. Joey, being a good son, was letting our parents play with his daughter, so he was over there visiting, and he brought his which is the ultimate trump card. Like, you can't compete for who's the best son when you have a baby to bring to your parents' house.
True. Very true. So I turned the game on after that point, and what happened was runners on first and second, 1 out. Then Nelson Lamet seemingly also underturned in all of this game is the umpiring was super bad.
It was atrocious. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Pitches right down the middle, balls. Literally, it was some of the worst I've ever seen.
Yep.
And Pierce Johnson at one point looked like he wanted to charge the mound.
Might have lost the game because Pierce Johnson gets the loss in this game, and he gets dinged for 2 earned runs, probably not needlessly because he gets so turned off. Because at that point I was watching the game, and literally he walked a guy because there's 2 balls that were in the strike zone, but one literally was down the middle.
Yeah, and that was the pitch that our pitching coach Rothschild screamed at. Something we can't say because we're friendly, but he screamed at the umpire, and the umpire tossed him. And Pierce Johnson noticeably was upset because, again, the entire team at this point was on edge and was clearly, our minds were not were in baseball.
So in the 4th inning, the Chicago Cubs have run on first and second, and then the batter was it Contreras? I think
It was. I think so.
It's a short pop up into left field. Out goes Ha-Sung Kim, who's playing shortstop because Tatis is injured, and in comes Tommy Pham. And in the replays, you see them both yelling. One outfielder, Tommy Pham, says, "I got it, I got it, I got it." There's lots of fans in the stand. People aren't used to playing with other noises. Kim doesn't hear him. They collide in the outfield. Like, hard collision. Head hits the other person's head. And actually, Ha-Sung Kim's forehead hits Tommy Pham's jaw. And they both are on the ground. Ha-Sung Kim deliriously gets up and throws the ball into third base. Manny Machado stepped on third base, throws to Jake Cronenworth, who stepped on second base. Because the run on first and second didn't run. That, my friend, is a double play.
Yes, it was one of the weird double plays you've ever seen. And yes, when Ha-Sung Kim gets up and makes that drunken throw, it might be a wrong. I'm like, wow, they really drill the fundamentals in those Asian leagues, don't they? Because
He's like, gotta get the out. After he does it, he just falls over.
Yeah, he falls over, has a concussion, has to be carried off the field. But like, they just don't teach fundamentals like that in the U.S. They just don't. It was second nature for him to throw it.
Tommy Pham's on the ground. Kim, after he does it, it's on the ground. They're on the ground for a while. Tommy Pham gets up, very noticeably upset, angry, gets in an altercation in the dugout. And a lot of people, armchair baseball players, are being like, this was bad behavior. Like, as someone who's experienced some amount of head shock before, I don't know if you're aware of this, James, but when your brain hurts, you don't make like the right decision.
Oh, I agree. I
don't like. They're hyper competitive athletes, and their head was just hurt.
You know, I've suffered from a concussion once before.
Yeah. All I'm trying to point this out is like, maybe you shouldn't judge someone who just had head trauma about the subsequent actions.
I got a concussion at work once, and this is back when I was in college, and I had to go and write a paper at a lab in college, and I drove
Not as smart.
the 12 miles from my work to my college, and I sat in the lab in front of the computer, and I looked at the screen and went, why is the screen moving? And I realized, I'm having a head trauma. And I realized the whole world was fuzzy and I shouldn't have been driving.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, Tommy Pham is mad because he was calling for it.
He was.
And they collided. That's bad. They're both from the game, pulled from the game, because they both have to go through concussion protocol. They both cleared it. They both did not get.
Tommy Pham does have stitches on his chin, though.
And he might have misaligned his jaw, which is
that. Yeah, so he was in not an insignificant amount of pain. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I cannot talk enough about how much I love Manny Machado.
Yeah.
Manny Machado was the one that moved Pham into the dugout and like, okay, get you down the tunnel. He was the team captain. Him and the coach took him down. Training staff took him down there. None of the Padres are blaming Pham for that. Nothing happened. They all thought he went and yelled at the translator. He was nowhere near the translator.
Yeah.
He was upset because he just got his head hurt, rung around. He knows he's leaving the. Tommy Pham is a competitor, and Tommy Pham has. I don't know if you know this, but he has turned around this last month, and he's been one of the more productive hitters on our team as far as getting on base and scoring runs. And so I it was ugly all around, and everybody in the dugout understood that's what Tommy Pham was.
right.
because they're all competitors. You don't get to be a big league ball player and not have a slight competitive attitude.
I mean, the dude, just look up his life story. Has accomplished a lot in his life. And has overcome a lot in his life, right? And being disciplined has done him enormous favors. He's now a very rich man because he's been disciplined and hardworking. So when someone on a team that's not like that, or not, or even some confusion around that, he's fiery, and that's fine, right? It's nothing. No one should get pitchforks out for Tommy Pham. Like, let's just put the pitchforks down. And I'm just now reading as of tonight's game, Tommy Pham will be out tonight. But the CT scan showed nothing broken or dislocated, so he's going to be fine. But his jaw's sore because another athlete hit it.
A small athlete hit him.
We say small, but he's still 200 pounds of muscle.
I know. I said there's a super athlete hit a super athlete in the jaw.
Yeah. And TBA on Tatis Jr. and Hassan Kim tonight, which is kind of makes our predictions a little different.
Yes.
But I think it's an unfortunate nature of fans in the stands. There may have been a language barrier thing. I don't think there was. I think he just didn't hear him. Right? I think.
Well, it's true because it was a sold out.
Yeah.
It was the first time they've played, and Wrigley's a loud.
Oh yeah.
They've always been known for being loud, and they also purposely yell when stuff like that happens to confuse the outfielders because people in Chicago are. What's the rating on this podcast again? G.
Yeah, let's do G.
Poo-poo heads.
Poo-poo heads.
Mean people.
Yeah, unfortunate, and that kind of puts. Thankfully, Will Myers wasn't playing because he was just getting off his knee a little bit, but he came in, so that was we had ways to get Mercano was still around, so we were able to switch around a little bit, but it was rough,
Honestly, I thought just the way the entire team, you can noticeably the entire team, that was the final nail on. We are definitely very tired. It's been a long weekend. We're frustrated that we've lost 2 in a row to the Cubs. 2 of our guys have gone down.
3 of our guys, technically. Tatis, right?
Tatis.
And Tatis and Pham out of the lineup. That's significant.
It is significant. It is true. It is very significant. 2 of those guys go down. Literally, if the umpires would have walked up to Tingle and said, "Hey, do you just want to call the game?" I think Tingle would have said, "Yes, let's go home."
Yeah.
It was so noticeably deflated, and that is honestly why I think Rothschild was thrown out.
Right.
Because everyone was just frustrated. At that point, the Dingleberry behind the plate making bad calls just automatically dials up to 11. No, we're up here literally dying trying to win this baseball game, and you're calling balls right down the middle a ball. You're calling strikes a foot off the plate strike. It just
when Tim Hill came in and he started getting calls off the plate, I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So your strike zone's off by 6 feet to the right.
Yeah, no, he was starting. It was incredible, and Tim, it was, and that was all day. All day was like that. I honestly think Lamet probably would have gone further, but his pitch count was so high. The only reason why his pitch count was so high because how many times in that game he threw a pitch I guess it's not a strike now? It was
right.
It was a strike every other day I've played in the big leagues, but okay. Right. It was a tragedy. It was a very sad game to watch, and just to watch the entire team lose like that. It was disappointing, and I'm glad there's no lasting problems with Kim and Pham, but it was to watch it live, to see hear the reaction to Don and Mud go live. It was just I hate to see it because I like these guys so much, and as you may or may not know, Joe, I'm a fan of the Padres.
Oh, are you? Weird.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Brothers Padres? A podcast about the Padres.
I have heard about it. It's a phenomenal podcast. I want you to listen to it. Hit the subscribe button and a like bell.
The like bell?
The notification bell.
I know what you mean.
And the like button.
There you go.
Both of the buttons. You know what to do.
James, we got swept by the Chicago Cubs, and a record for the 6 days of recap, 2-4. As is tradition around here, we look forward next group of games before our next recap, and we decide, hey, what's the next record? So we thankfully have an off day next Thursday. Padres are looking at that off day. They're eyeing it, dude. Every single Padre player is like, when can June 10th happen, please?
Exactly.
When can this happen? We have a 27-hour break from yesterday's game to tonight's game, which we welcome in the amazing Mets, as they called over there. They're not so amazing, but they have decent players. For a 4-game set, we play Mets on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then welcome back Chicago Cubs, which is Petco Park. We'll play them Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The probable starters, James. Tough to say for the Padres. For the Mets, because they announced Taiwan Walker is going to pitch, who have a nice little season. TBD for tomorrow because of I forget who would be their starter there. Their number 5 starter down. And then Saturday we face a guy named Jacob deGrom. Are you familiar with him, James?
Everyone is, Joe. It's
Jacob
not
deGrom,
even cute anymore. He is the most dominant pitcher in the league.
He I don't know how, like, I just don't know. Eventually you gotta ban Jacob deGrom, right? Eventually you have to have competitive balance. Like, MLB might be like, hey, Jacob, you can't throw 102-mile-an-hour fastballs in the 7th inning anymore. It's unfair. Very, very good. And then we also face Marcus Stroman on Sunday for the Mets. And then Padres will have Darvish tonight, Snell, Musgrove, and then Paddock on Sunday. And then on Monday, presumably we're back to six-man rotation, so it would be Weathers and Lamet. And then finally on Wednesday we'll have Darvish. What do you predict over the next 7 games would be our standings, James? A record, rather.
For the next 7 games.
Yep. 4 against the Mets.
Very
against
simple.
The Cubs, all at home. What?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
The Padres have had 27 hours. They've had a long. This is their home stretch. But what they've had tonight, they haven't had the last couple weeks. Was they went home. They slept in their own beds.
Right.
They woke up and they had San Diego weather.
Right.
As we all know, is regenerative. Is regenerative. It's healthy. It's clear. They also have Mexican food.
Correct.
Decent food for the first time in about a week. Houston, I've been to Houston. If you like gross barbecue, go to Houston. I've been to Chicago. They have 2 good restaurants in Chicago. Only 2 restaurants I ate, but they're
pretty good.
So I'm just assuming I've only eaten at 2 restaurants in Chicago. Those are the only 2 restaurants they have that are good. Mm-hmm. Anyways, but it's not compared to fish tacos. Good old guacamole, phenomenal guacamole. No, and good Mexican food. They're eating breakfast burritos. They're getting some good old fashioned American sunshine of America's finest city. They're sleeping on their own pillows, which is automatically, and they're coming back, and they know that they left Petco Park with a 9-0 record.
Right.
I think Friday night we're gonna win tonight because Darvish is pissed at his previous and he's gonna dominate. He's just gonna dominate.
Okay, I like this.
Friday night was suspected to have both Grisham and Tatis Jr. back in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
If they're 50%, Grisham is a fire starter. Tatis will hit 3 home runs this weekend.
This week, not
this
Friday.
Weekend. I think we're going to beat DeGrom. We're going to hand DeGrom his first loss of the year.
I think he lost. I mean, that's the joke. It
doesn't matter.
That's the joke, right?
His first bad loss of the year.
Okay, that's good.
Tatis is going to hit at least 1 3-run homer off him. We might lose 1 on Sunday just because we don't want to be greedy.
Okay.
and we're going to lose one to the Cubs. We're going to be 5-2 next week. But do not think that we can't sweep this next 7 games. I think if the Padres, again, good Mexican food can solve almost all problems. Like, seriously, if there was Mexican food in the 30s, we would have taken care of Hitler years before that, and the world would have gone way different now. The world would be a better place.
I never knew there was transformative power in California burritos, but now I'm convinced.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, man.
Jacob deGrom is 6 months older than I am.
And
He throws 100, whatever. Just
he throws 100. He throws 102 miles an hour, and you have a bad knee.
Yeah, knees. I like your thinking. I don't think we're going to win against DeGrom, who has a .71 ERA. 0.71 ERA. He averages half a base runner every inning. Huh. It's ridiculous. I think we're gonna go. We're gonna do 6-1. I think that being home matters. I think we're getting Grisham back. I think that we're gonna enjoy being back home. I think we're a really good team, and the funk is gone. Okay, this is what I'm gonna say. I think we're going 6-1, but if tonight's a horrible game and we lose badly tonight, I don't think we do very well as homestand. Like, we gotta have a combo breaker game. We gotta have a game of like, hey, this. We're done with the past 7 games, past few games.
This is for Pham and Kim.
Right, exactly. But James, you said 5-2. I said 6-1, and the game is we see who's closer. Because last time neither of us were. You were closer, but we don't like being that.
No, we don't like being that way. And I think I would love to be 6-1. That would be awesome. But I think
we sweep the Cubs and we lose to DeGrom. DeGrom's so gosh darn good. DeGrom.
I think we hand DeGrom his first loss.
I saw probably Paddock's best start of his career versus DeGrom like 2 years ago, and it was awesome. And then I was like, oh, DeGrom only lost because he threw one bad pitch to Hunter Renfroe. Thankfully, Hunter Renfroe like can hit sometimes, and so we won. But like, if that didn't happen, like Paddock would have gotten like a horrible outing. But yeah, I like it, James. That is all, James. Remember to like us on YouTube. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Brother Padre.
And also don't forget to start to listen to our new podcast, The Evils of Big Ink. Yes. You want to talk about the Great Reset? We're talking about the Great Ink Set. Oh, that's what we want to talk about.
Oh my goodness, James. Okay, buddy.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody. We are the Brothers Padres. Go Padres.
Go Padres.
There it is! Ho ho, doctor! You can hang a star on that, baby!